Hi there, Prairie Plant Girl here. So it's come to that time of year. Last night was my third frost warning that I received through the weather. Luckily we actually haven't had any frost yet, but that means I'm running out here at night with sheets and blankets and covering tender crops up and choosing, what I want to cover and what I don't. And so to me that signals that it's time to get these warm weather crops cleaned up and get the garden ready for fall and winter. So last night I was out here for a little bit in the evening, and I cleaned up the pepper plants, so you can probably see that they look a lot different than they have for months out here now. I've taken out all the cherry tomato plants that were in these big pots. They just weren't doing well. The tomatoes were all cracking. They didn't have good flavor. They just, I don't know if it was the heat and the dry this year and then the extreme rains. I don't know, but the cherry tomatoes just did not do well in these pots for me. The peppers, on the other hand, did very well, and I've had a huge glut of peppers to enjoy this summer, and I'm really happy for that. So I've gone through now and picked off anything that was ripe and severely cut back the plants. Took off anything, if they were producing flowers, I took off flowers. Any really small, immature fruit, I took those off the pepper plants. And I've trimmed off most of the leaves and stems that weren't, any stems that weren't bearing any fruit. And hopefully that'll encourage them to ripen any fruit that's left on them. And I picked a pretty good amount of ripe fruit off of them. I still have some California Wonder and King of the North over in this pot here that has some pretty big fruit on them. They're trying to turn red, and I rarely get red pepper off of my bell peppers, so I'm kind of wanting to just leave them there and see what happens. I might take a few more off just so I don't lose them if it gets really cold, but it's actually supposed to be really warm for the next week. Daytime highs like around the 30s Celsius and nighttime highs in the double digits. So I think I could probably leave them for another week and be okay with that. And that's kind of the thinking I'm going to go around with my cucumbers and my tomatoes today, and probably my zucchini as well, and just take off anything that's ready to be harvested, or with tomatoes close to ready, if they're starting to blush, I might take those as well. And then I'll just trim back the plants quite a bit to try and get that final push of ripening and production out of them, and pull the rest of those. And then I'm going to, I have some pole beans behind me. I'm going to hopefully get those cleaned up and pulled out of there, and hopefully I can find some that are dried enough on the Gold Marie. I'd like to save those for seed if I can. But it's going to be a big clean out day today. That's my plan, and I'll try and bring you along for a good portion of it so you can kind of see how I do things, but we'll try and keep it enjoyable as well. So come on and let's get the garden ready for fall. I put my potted peppers in here last night because of the frost warning, and I have a few pots of tomatoes in here, some cherry tomatoes, black crema Manitoba. And then I have this beautiful pot of flowers here. Look, my anemones and my crocosmia are blooming. Love it. So I'm just going to grab those out quick because my Coldframes actually gets shaded once the sun moves around at noon. So, which is perfect. In the spring, when the trees have no leaves, it's actually a great spot for hardening off plants, because then the sun shines through, but this time of year, not so much. Oh, there's a pepper down here. These are the Hungarian hot wax. Look at that tiny little guy there. The other pot I pulled out was the jalapenos. This is my Antoi Romanian. Still loaded up. I need to come through and take the flowers off of any of these plants as well, but I haven't done much for cutting these potted peppers back. Sugar Rush peach. I could do some harvesting off of that. This is my sweet banana pepper. Again, there's some flowers that need to come off, but it's looking really good. It's early prolific. Some harvesting to do on that. And again, some flowers to come off. There's no point leaving the flowers on now. The fruit's not going to mature. There's also some small fruit right here and more over here, but even with the cold frame, it's not going to be warm long enough, I don't think, to get those maturing. This is my sweet lipstick. I took a few off of this last night that were fully ripe just because it was going to get cold, just to be sure, but I have another beautiful one here that's starting to blush. Some little ones I'll probably just wind up taking off. And here's the candy cane. These are really nice sweet pepper too. They're kind of fun with the variegation. I find them similar in size and similar flavor to the sweet lipstick when they're mature. But this nice variegation on the leaves, it's just kind of a fun one. I think this will be a keeper. Sweet lipstick's a keeper. And now I just have the tomatoes. Most of those have some strings on them in there, so right up on that edge there, they do get sun most of the day. But anything further over winds up shaded from the tomatoes and the tree behind there. Since these peppers are all in pots and can be moved around and protected pretty easily at this size, these are going to be kind of the last thing on my list to deal with. I'll just leave them out here right now to enjoy the sun of the day, and they can probably stay out now for the next few nights. It's going to be warm enough. But I think I want to move over, tackle the tomatoes really, I think, is my main priority right now, to get those off, and the cucumbers, and then I'll work my way back, see what I can get done here. So just like the peppers, I'm just going to be going through the tomatoes and pulling off most of the ripe fruit, well, all the ripe fruit and most of the stuff that's starting to ripen, and then I'll be topping off the plants, cutting off anything that's really immature and small, and just taking most of the leaves off as well, just to try and stress the plants out a bit and get them to ripen up anything that's left. And it looks like I have a couple plants that are just done altogether, so I'm just going to take them out. Well, I've been working on these tomatoes for almost an hour now, and I have some other videos I need to edit for you guys. So I guess my ambition or my goal of getting more than the tomatoes done this morning was a bit much, but I got a good amount picked off of here. I accidentally clipped a couple stems that had some pretty green ones on. I'll take them in. Sometimes they surprise me and they're already ready to start maturing, so I'll take them in. They might mature for me. But as you can probably see behind me, I've cut quite a bit off of these plants. Tried to tie some of the heavy branches back onto some of the stakes if they'd come off. Topped off, you know, any flowers, and got them cleaned up quite a bit. Unearthed the baby Pam pumpkin that's growing through there that I forgot about. So I got a lot done. I wound up taking the marigolds out of the front here just so I could find some of the tomatoes that are in the front here. I'm going to call it a morning, go have some lunch, and then get some editing done so I have some videos for you guys to watch. So I'll pick back up on this later and try and get it all into one video. All right, I've popped back out here. I know it's bugging me because I know I have cucumbers on here that are past due to be harvested out of this batch of cucumbers here, so I really want to get that dealt with. And we're just having homemade chicken soup with sandwiches for supper tonight, so I want to get some celery if I can find any. Believe it or not, just this rain we've had in the last few weeks has brought the slugs out, and slugs love celery, so a lot of my celery, it can take a lot of picking till I get some decent bits out. And I want to get some carrots. It's probably all I'll grab out of here for the soup. But I just want to get a few more of these odds and ends out of the garden. They're getting away from me, and I have another busy weekend where I probably won't get a chance to be out here very much. So I just want to get some more caught up here, and I'll save the work in the office for in the evening when the bugs are too bad and it gets too dark here early. So see what I can get for cucumbers out of here. Like I said, I think a lot of them are past due. And then I think I don't know, I'm tempted to just leave these plants. I'm gonna trim up some of the leaves, I think, on the bottoms. I've been a little negligent. Look at that big fat guy. So because cucumbers, they can develop so quickly, and we do have some very nice weather forecast coming up here, I'm just stripping off. There are a lot of leaves that were damaged by a few hailstorms we've had come through and by the aphids that we've had. So I'm just trying to snip off some of the worst looking leaves so the plant isn't putting energy into those leaves, and take off any cucumbers that are ready to harvest. And if I come across any, I haven't yet today, but quite often there's just been a few that have just kind of dried up on the vine and mature, so I'll take those cucumbers off if I find any, and then that will just allow the plants to have kind of one last burst of production here if it's in them, and if the weather cooperates like it sounds like it's going to. Okay, those look much better. Now I can see the the zucchini behind is full of powdery mildew too, so I'm gonna clean that out as best I can and tackle these beans. There's the cucumbers I got. It's pretty nice. Some really big ones, some nicer sized pickle ones, and really wonky one. So I tried growing some of my zucchini up on stakes this year, and I don't know how you can see it there. I don't think it really did much, but maybe I didn't keep up with it well enough. I have to admit I kind of just lost some of my passion for this in August after so much hot and dry. It was hard to keep wanting to be out here working with the plants, and they're suffering so much. So some of my things did get neglected, and I was gone a lot in August. But I think this big plant, the main part is just really a lot of powdery mildew. So I'm just going to pull it out. There's a smaller offshoot coming. I might just leave that and harvest a couple. There's 1 or 2 zucchini in there I can get. And then I'll deal with, there's another plant down here. There's a couple more over there. I'll just go through these zucchini and take out what needs to be taken out, and then harvest what I can, and we'll see what's left in the end. That didn't work. It can be hard to tell when there's powdery mildew versus just natural mottling on zucchini leaves, but I find if you look at the stem or the back of the leaf, you can tell if it's powdery mildew or actually just the way the leaf is. So a lot of zucchini especially have mottled leaves. So I think if I stake my zucchini next year, I need taller stakes because these just weren't really enough. This one in the back here worked out not too bad. Maybe the beans were holding it up a bit, but they also gave it a lot of powdery mildew. I didn't know pole beans got quite so big like they did, so bushed out. I'm not sure why, I just expected them to be closer to the pole. Maybe I planted them too thick too. I don't know about this one. I'm gonna take this. I don't think I've had any off this plant yet. These 2 plants were from the, I think it's like a summer squash mix or something from Vessi Seeds. So where did I put my, and I have one here that's just gotten kind of short and fat. So I'm gonna take it. I took another one off this plant and it looked just like a regular green zucchini. I think I'm gonna leave the yellow beans for now. I'll maybe just trim off some of the leaves, but I would like to get some seeds off of this, and I'm just not ready to do that today. I think there's one more zucchini down here. So there's also a cougar pumpkin back in here. This bed was too full. You know, I had all sorts of intentions of keeping it more pruned and under control. I'm eating aphids, but that just didn't happen. So again, I tried to stake this zucchini, but the stake I think just wasn't big enough. And then I stopped pruning on it. It's just turned into this crazy wild thing here. Well, there's some nice zucchini on there if they grow. A few more flowers actually coming, so maybe I'll get something. Thin out these leaves in this pumpkin a bit and maybe it'll start to ripen. I'm going to take off a stem here with small pumpkins and flowers still coming. I'm going to get rid of those so it tries to focus on what it has. Something with a pumpkin, I want it focusing on finishing what it started and not getting any more going. Okay, so I've left 2 pumpkin on there. I'm gonna take this leaf. So there's two pumpkins on there. They're pretty small. I'm not sure they'll develop, but give them a shot anyway. I have some celebration squash, and I should be doing the same thing with this that I just did with that pumpkin. I see lots of fruit down in there, but it's just not quite ripening up. There's another one down there. But I don't think I'm going to get to that today. But I do know there's a couple East Elite that I don't even think are attached to the vines anymore. So I don't even know if you can see this one, but I guess it's barely attached to the vine there. But the vine is done. So we're going to take this. I've had one of these so far and it was pretty good. While I'm down here I have celery, so I'm going to grab some for supper. Let's see. Oh, that's a nice one. No slug damage there. That one's pretty gross. It's all chewed up. Oh, it's chewed up. The slugs love celery. Oh, there's a big spider in there too. That one's usable. I cut that little bit off down there. Oh, there's a huge woolly bear caterpillar all rolled in a ball. I just scooped him up. I didn't poke him or anything. I'm not sure it's even alive though. It doesn't seem to be reacting to me at all. Oh, it is moving. That's a big fuzzy one. What do they say? The more fuzzy they are, the worse the colder the winter is going to be. I don't know if that's true, but that's a big fuzzy one. Here you go, little woolly bear. Okay, carrots. Oh, and one more squash. That vine isn't too bad. It's not drying up around the squash. I'm going to leave that squash. I thought there was another one over here. Maybe not. These are a bunch of carrots that have started to go to seed on me. I've never had carrots go to seed before. I believe these are Chantenay. They might be Danvers half long. Oh, they're probably Danvers half long. But, oh, I might have 2 rows in here. So I might have both in here. Oh, and some celery came with that. So they're over crowding the... I'd planted some little carrots down here and they're crowding. These big ones are falling over and crowding out the little ones. They're ready to come out, so take them. Yeah, see, that's one that went to seed. I think I have another one here, but it looks at how woody it is. These are nice looking carrots. Even with 4 inches of rain, everything's dry. All right, well, there's some carrots. Clean those up. Well, I went out there to clean up the garden and get some of the warm season plants pulled out and cleaned up, but with the weather the way it is and the forecast the way it is, I don't think I pulled a whole lot out. But I did clean things up. It does look a lot better out there. I got a huge harvest. I got the peppers from last night, and I got a whole basket of tomatoes, this nice little East Elite squash, I don't know, 4 or 5 little zucchini here, a couple celery, a couple handfuls of cucumbers, and a nice bucket of carrots. Now, celery and a couple of these carrots will go into supper right away tonight. Some of these bigger cucumbers I might make a little cucumber salad with to go with. I think I'm going to be making some salsa, so those tomatoes will be good for that, and the rest I'm sure will get eaten in the next few days. So hopefully you found this interesting and enjoyed coming along with me to work in the garden. Are you at that stage where you're ready to start pulling things out, or are you pulled it all out already and you're like, I'm done? Bring on winter? Or are you still holding out for some more nice weather like I kind of am? I'm kind of on the fence there. So let me know in the comments down below, how's your garden going? And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.